Okay, I said that I would make a video with my thoughts on Star Wars, the original trilogy, and why I don't think it's perfect like everyone else thinks it is. And a lot of people just stopped watching right when I said that. The ones that are still watching, thank you. I appreciate you realizing that we all have freedom of thought and freedom of speech in America. And freedom of opinion, whatever thoughts and opinions, are they the same thing? Are they different? Who knows? There's a gray line there. The original trilogy is not perfect by any means, and anyone that says it is blinded by their memories of their child, which is okay because we're allowed to have those too. We're allowed to be blinded by our childhood. We live in America where you're allowed to pretty much think whatever you want, regardless of what the masses will have you believe, because the masses want everyone to believe everything the exact same way. But fuck them. I don't give a shit what your fucking opinion is. Your opinion sucks dick. Just like your mom and your sister on the fucking Pornhub Chatterbait website webcam. But anyways, beside the point, got that out of my system. It's not perfect. I will admit, as a child, I did not give a shit about Harrison Ford's Han Solo. His scenes were always boring to me. I did not give a shit about Carrie Fisher's Princess Leia, except for when she was wearing the slave outfit. That was my first erection, but that's beside the goddamn point. I always was so bored by them two. They didn't have anything really special about them. And I was fascinated by... I remember being fascinated by Luke and the Ewoks, and kind of by Chewbacca, but not really. I always have cared about Chewbacca even less than Han and Leia. But I like the Ewoks. And I never really cared about not Chewbacca, I just said that. About C3 Fingerhole and R2 Double Ds. I don't know what it was, but I liked them, but not, I wouldn't be their friend. They'd be like someone I would talk to once every 3 months. They just weren't. But Luke, I don't know what it was about him. I know a big part of it was the lightsaber and having the Force and stuff, even though we barely saw it in the first film. I don't really remember my thoughts. I thought Obi-Wan was cool because he had the lightsaber, but I don't really remember my thoughts on him when he didn't have a lightsaber or when he wasn't using the Force. I was always intrigued by when he used Alec Guinness threw his hand out and the stormtrooper looked the opposite way when he was doing the fucking, I forget what it was, but he was like meow, the battle station power thing, emo bob or whatever it is. The tractor beam, I think that's what it was, and I was fascinated by that and his duel with Vader. Vader, I really don't remember. Oh my god, I don't remember liking Vader either, except for when he had a lightsaber. I thought his voice was cool. I thought his outfit was, I don't remember my exact thoughts on his outfit. Lightsaber was amazing. Him using the Force choke I thought was cool. I just don't really remember resonating with anyone other than Luke Skywalker and the Ewoks, and Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of. What else? I do remember loving the I am your father. I remember loving that in the lightsaber duel on Bespin, and the flying the spaceships and the space wars and things. I have more appreciation for the space wars and lightsaber fights and the Force scenes now than I did before, and I also have more appreciation for Han and Leia and Chewbacca and C3 Fingerhole and 2 Double E's, but they're not my favorites by any means. Moving on to The Empire Strikes Back. I really liked Luke's development from A New Hope to Empire Strikes Back. And in A New Hope, he was really, he was a little whiny. That's how he and Anakin related from the prequels. That's a nice, correlation. People complained about, Anakin, Hayden Christensen's, whininess, and a lot of people ignore Luke's whininess. They're like, well, they're two different whininesses. Yeah, Anakin had a lot more whiny in him than Luke. Luke grew out of it. Anakin kept whining. Anakin whined in episode 3. I guess Luke kind of did in Empire Strikes Back during his training with Yoda, but not as badly as George Lucas wrote Anakin to whine. And I guess Kylo Ren as well, although it's more of a fan fiction character to me because Jar Jar Abrams is not George Lucas by any means. And George Lucas isn't perfect. I mean, look at all of his commercial failure movies, such as Red Tails, Howard the Duke, and a whole bunch of others as well. I liked Yoda, a new character introduced in The Empire Strikes Back. Always fascinated by Yoda. Of course, like all little kids, I loved how he spoke, his enunciation, his dialect, his his word structure, being the reverse speaking. Um, who else? I like the guy who said, "It's been a pleasure having you, General Solo." Had a really it was like one or two lines he had, and he spoke to Harrison Ford's Han Solo, and I like that guy. Billy D. Williams. When I was younger, I didn't hate him. I actually really liked Billy D. Williams when I was younger, when I was like 5 or 6 or whatever, as far back as I can actually clearly like remember enjoying the films. Really like Lando. I thought he had so much charisma. I believe I used to like Lando more than I liked Han, because he was so like, "How you doing, you old pirate? Come here. It's been a while," or whatever. And then he talked about hinted at their past about, "Hey, I want her from you fair and square," things like that. Um, I really liked him, even though he betrayed the group. I remember being younger and really hating his betrayal. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I like the way he." I didn't understand back then acting. I'm like, I like the way he acted. I guess I didn't know what I called it back then, but I'm like, but I hate what he did. And what was it, Lebo? Was it Lebo that has the beats on, or Lobot? Lobot, Beats by Lobot. I thought he was so fascinating too, but he wasn't really in the film that much. Um, the Emperor scene with Clive, was it Clive Rendell? I don't remember his name. The original Emperor with the monkey's paw or whatever. I thought that was creepy, terrifying, and I loved it. Love that scene so much. I was never a fan of Boba Fett, though. People just blew Boba Fett up as much as they did Han Solo, maybe even more so. Um, Boba Fett, I was never really a fan of. I want to go back to A New Hope. Um, Porkins, I always thought was funny when he died. I thought it was funny, and I liked Wedge, but I didn't know his name, even though they said his name like 6 or 7 times. I did like Wedge Antilles, and he blew up in popularity too around 1992 to 1997, around Shadows of the Empire, 1998, things like that. I don't remember exact year, but like he had a popularity in when I was in grade school, and people were like, "Oh yeah, I love Wedge Antilles." And I'm like, he wasn't really in the film that much, but I guess whatever, he helped fight. During the Death Star, which I also really have more appreciation for. I used to think the Death Star fight was so boring. I loved Luke using the Force, but I thought the fight itself was so boring. I'd always fast forward to, "Use the Force, Luke, let go." But now I can watch. It's one of my favorite parts of the original trilogy. Um, I'm going so back and forth with this video because I'm so excited. I haven't felt this excited in a while. Uh, but the original trilogy. Moving on to Return of the Jedi. Again, I mentioned Chewbacca's comb part down the middle. Thought that was absolutely retarded. Even as a kid, I thought it was so stupid looking. And the way they had him act, it was so hammy. And I will admit, people say the prequel trilogy was filled with hammy, wooden acting. The original trilogy was filled with just as much. Carrie Fisher in A New Hope was the hammiest of ham-hams. Harrison Ford at times was the hammiest of ham-hams, trying so hard to be cool. And he kind of paid it off. Like, he was in the line between some of his dialogue in A New Hope was really cool, and other lines were really like half-fisted, thrown in. I'm not all there. Mark Hamill's acting, I can't really like criticize him too much, but just so I'm not biased, I will say that and I'm not going to mention the Tashi station, power converts from Tashi station, or whatever, because that never bothered me. I guess if I had to pick a moment, it would be where I forget what the hell happens. Like when he falls over and sees Princess Leia, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope." I thought that was really hammy. And C-3PO, what can you do? He was written to be that way. R2-D2 was written to be the way he was. Chewbacca, never really had an issue with him too much, honestly. Alec Guinness, I have nothing really bad to say about him. David Prowse, in the suit in A New Hope, having Vader put his hands on his hips and leaning down just a little bit was so womanly and feminine. It bugged me. Grand Moff Tarkin, not like anything really to criticize. Porkins, is a pork, so take that as you will. Return of the Jedi, always fascinated by Jabba the Hutt. I really liked the Jabba the Hutt palace scene, but I didn't love it. And these are my feelings now too. I like the action when it finally takes off, because that is such a slow burn leading up to it, and then it's done and over with. And of course, because the lightsabers cost a lot of money, and having Boba Fett fly, I thought his death was crap. Even as a child, I not being a fan of Boba Fett, I thought his death was pretty shitty, but it was kind of cool, getting down by half blind Han Solo. Thought Lando being great in Empire was even more cool in Return of the Jedi, actually becoming a good guy. That was amazing to me. And the switch of the Emperor from the monkey's fist, monkey's paw, old person to Ian McDiarmid was amazing. Like Ian McDiarmid, I always liked. I thought he was creepy when I was younger, and I still do. His face was just, oh my god, it was so terrifying. And Vader didn't do the hands on the hips like a female in Return of the Jedi. I don't remember if he did in Empire Strikes Back, but I think he did, but it wasn't as feminine as A New Hope when he kept doing it over and over again, like 2 or 3 times. It was more so like a guy would do his hands on his hips. So everything kind of like improved in Return of the Jedi. Looking back now, I do think it's kind of stupid how the Emperor said he sent his elite force to the Force Moon of Endor, and they were beaten by Ewoks. I've always thought that kind of, but like I said, I don't have a problem with the Ewoks, really. I really wish they would have done Wookiees. Had 12 guys in Wookiee outfits and keep reusing the same 12 over and over and over and over again. I honestly think that would have sold more toys than having Ewoks. So that's like a gripe. So again, like those are my the final battle of the second Death Star. I loved that the 3/4 or 2/5 completed Death Star more than the original Death Star fight, and I still do. It's so much faster. The music is so much better. So much better acted, and you have Lando. And a lot of people are like, well, we wish Han was up there. Yeah, that would be cool if Han was up there. It would be kind of cool if, like, Luke went from the Death Star into a ship and then joined in on the fight with the body of Darth Vader, or I should say Anakin Skywalker, because that is who it is, in the ship with him, and just continue, like, just shoot down a few ships. But I also like how you get that close-up of Mark Hamill, and he's, like, jerking around as the Death Star is about ready to erupt. Thought that's really cool. One thing I will complain about is I never liked the Yub Nub music. I didn't hate it. Never loved it. I love the victory celebration. And I did not, and I absolutely hate that Hayden Christensen was put in place of Sebastian Shaw. And George Lucas says, well, he went back to the way he was when he was a Jedi. The dialogue in that, and there are fans that defend that as well. Well, that's who he died. He died in Episode 3 when he was young. When he fought Obi-Wan, he was Darth Vader. He was not Anakin Skywalker. He was called Darth Vader, and a lot of people forget that. Because the Emperor said, call him Darth Vader, and then he went to fight Obi-Wan and Mustafar. He became Anakin Skywalker when he defended Luke against the Emperor's Blue Force Lightning. He became Anakin Skywalker again, whether he had the Vader outfit on or not. He became Anakin Skywalker. When Luke pulled off the mask, and he said, let me look on you with my own eyes, he became and was Anakin Skywalker. An old man, whether you like it or not. And people are saying, well, Sebastian Shaw was like 70 or 80 years old. He looked in his, I've always thought he looked in his late 40s, early 50s, late 50s to me, like somewhere in that line period. It doesn't matter how old the actor is in real life, because they have no problem with any other actor portraying like any old like any older actor or actress portraying someone 20 or 30 years younger. They have no problem with that, but they just nitpick it because it's Star Wars. You probably didn't even, if you did not know who he was, you probably would not know how old he was. If you didn't have like the internet or someone else to tell you, oh, Sebastian Stan was 70 or 80 years old during that scene. It doesn't matter. He looks young. Old people play young actors all the time, just like young actors play old actors all the time. And no one else complains, but they only complain during this because they want to defend their stupid-ass belief. He died an old man, so he should come back an old man. Yoda died an old Yoda. He didn't come back a younger Yoda. Alec Guinness or Obi-Wan died an old Obi-Wan. He did not come back as younger Obi-Wan. He did not come back as Ewan McGregor. I'm surprised George Lucas didn't change that as well. So that's a gripe from the special editions and the Blu-ray releases. And I do like some of the special edition changes. I don't like all of them, but I do like some of them. But yeah, the OT was filled with hammy wooden acting and disjointed scenes as well sometimes. So I've never really been a prequel hater. Was it what I wanted it to be as a young child? No, not really. But I don't bash them like a lot of the community does. They are better than anything Disney has made. The Force Awakens sucked ass. The Last Jedi sucked ass. Rogue One was a piece of shit. Rebels, I didn't watch all of it because I got so tired of the childishness. And I will admit, the OT was filled with childlike scenes and stuff. But Disney took over and really dumbed it down. There's no mythology anymore. It's all, well, I saw this from another story. Let me put it in Star Wars. And that's a big issue. Rebels, I liked Kanan. I really liked Freddie Prinze Jr.'s portrayal of Kanan, but hated everything else. I hate Ahsoka. I hate Hera. I hate Sabine. I like the voice actor Steve Blum for Zebdo or Zebo or whatever that purple guy is. But yeah, I also don't give I hate Ahsoka, and I don't give a shit about the Star Wars: The Clone Wars 3D. I prefer the 2D cartoon that actually fits with the films more than the 3D one, because Darth Maul never came back in my mind. George Lucas has always said he was dead. And Anakin never had a Padawan. There's never any reference in Revenge of the Sith or the novel that says that he had a Padawan, ever. They didn't trust him to be a master. So why would they trust him with a Padawan if they're worried that he could turn evil someday? He could train a Padawan, and his Padawan would naturally take his side, kind of like Qui-Gon liked, was it Count Dooku? He liked Count Dooku's way of things, and the Council was wary of Qui-Gon as well. So just why would they make that mistake again? An even bigger mistake if Anakin is the chosen one. Why would you give him a Padawan to train that he could eventually team up with and overthrow the Council? And he ended up throwing over the entire Jedi Council anyway. Oh my god, there's a fucking fly in here.